Hi, welcome to our program on African Heritage Television. My name is Rose Mary Shaw, and of course my co-host, Mr. Temitope Omotion.
Good evening.
We do have a very fabulous show for you today. We will be talking to two very important personalities in our community. We're not going to give any information yet. You have to hang on so you can see it for yourself.
Is it because you don't have the information or you just don't want to give it up?
Not yet. They have to stay tuned in order for them to meet this wonderful folks.
They're not going to go anywhere. People don't go to anywhere when it's African Heritage Media's time.
Yes, because right. We do give in-depth analysis, so hey.
Rosemary, before we start with our guests, what do you think about this Obama and this gay issue?
You know what? It's an issue that is a shaded area for me. Like I said today during the radio program, I'm not even going to go there. I know that marriage is between a man and a woman. That's all I have to say to that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I always have an opinion, and I've been saying this. Obama is not doing particularly well.
I wouldn't say it that way, though.
Truth be told, he's not doing well. And it's just compounding his own problem with all these, I should say, stupid things. Because every other president has been sitting on the fence on things like this. You don't have to come out and say, this. I've been saying this, Obama needs to get out of the closet too. Yes, he has to get out of the closet. I'm not saying gays should not have their right, but when you're taking position like this, what message are you sending? And you will have all the guts and the effrontery to call other president and say, I hear that you guys are banning gays in your country. Well, we're not going to give you this support and that support anymore. Please, Mr. Obama, don't run your own, whatever your beliefs are on gays and lesbians and stuff like that. Don't enforce that or don't force that through the throat of other people in other culture. We just don't do that. I know you pressure the Nigerian president and other African president to accept what you accept or what you believe. It's never going to be like that. And believe me, if Romney is not a less of a man, he should have had a chance against you. But you know what? Romney is less of a man too. So I think I'm just going to abstain. I'm not going to vote. I cannot vote for anybody that is projecting something that is anti what I believe. And I'm not saying, that is just my personal belief. It is not even the belief of the African Heritage Television. That is my own personal belief.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, I know.
Because I'm not with you on that one.
Well, you don't have to be with me on that. I mean, that is what I'm saying. It is my own belief.
Exactly.
And that is exactly how I feel. You don't have to, people know that you support them. You don't have to come out and say, this is your position on that. Anyway, but I applaud your courage to come out and stand for what you believe in. I just don't believe in what you believe in. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go on short break now.
Don't you go nowhere. We'll be right back. course, Mr. Temitope.
Thank you very much, Rosemary.
Yes.
To my right hand is Mr. Baglaw, and to my left hand is Mr. Adewusi. Mr. Baglaw used to be the Vice President of the Liberian Association of Rhode Island,
Right.
and of course Mr. Adewusi is the President, Chairman, CEO, and what again, of the Nigerian community of Rhode Island. I got it right now, right?
Yes, you did.
I used to model it up before.
Right.
Anyway, it's because Mr. Adewusi is not writing checks. So I always remember who writes us checks.
I cannot believe you. He always writes checks.
Anyway,
He's been very supportive.
very, very supportive, and
Yes.
of course,
Mr.
Pastor
Yeah, Mr. Baglaw and Mr. Adewusi.
Tele too. So,
And Pastor Telephone.
well, we have been talking since all these days, and now some ambassadors are calling us and saying, okay, we don't mind you criticizing us, but please suggest some solutions.
Right.
And I feel like, okay, it is true we cannot just talk and criticize without trying to even push some solution out there. And we in the diaspora should be at the forefront of how we can stop the intellectual flow, the brain drain, and actually the manpower drain from our continent to either Europe or America. How do we do this? Or how can we do this? It is not just by telling everybody that it's stuff in America, it's stuff in Europe. Of course, if it's stuff in America or it's stuff in Europe, you guys are not coming back home in droves. You are still staying here. You're still in America and Europe. So their own thinking is, let me go to America and face the toughness that you face. After all, you have 24 hours uninterrupted light.
Right, right.
You can feed yourself 3 square meal, not 001 or 010 or any other formula like that. You eat when you want to eat, you drink when you. So those are the things that you hear when you discourage them from coming here. But right now, if anybody gets a job in Nigeria, he does not have to come here. If anybody is working assiduously in Liberia, in Guinea, in Senegal, in Gambia, he doesn't have to come here. Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt, you don't have to get out of the country. Plus, if you work, if you just want to come and visit anybody here, America will give you visa.
Right, right.
Because you have a bona fide job.
That's true.
And to be honest with you, when you come here, a whole lot of us when we come here, what kind of job do we do in the first year?
Media jobs.
Media jobs. If you don't come here with green card, you're going to be begging somebody who has a green card to give you a green card to go and look for a $6 an hour job.
Right.
You will be lucky if you get it. You will be paid under the table.
Absolutely.
You will have no right. So, I mean, I can use myself as an example. I worked as an immigration officer in Nigeria. When I came here, my first job was a security job. A job that I would not do in Nigeria.
Yep.
So, like I was saying before, if we can provide a solution, take some jobs home, do whatever we need to do and make these people have a job over there so that some of them can at least sit over there and don't come and join the bandwagon here. I need to get it right.
Right.
Bandwagon. It is hard for somebody like me to pack up overnight and say, I'm going home. What about my children? Those are the things we have to put in perspective. But if we can make it happen, or if we can have a constructive discussion, the embassy already said anything we discuss, if it's constructive, they will look into it. We'll just go do our own, and we'll let the embassies decide whatever they want to do with what our panel
of course. And what better way to do it than bring 2 leaders in our community to
intelligent
be a
leaders,
part, yes,
for that
to be a
matter.
part of this.
And Mr. Adewusi, I want you to have the first shot. Please introduce yourself well, because I think I did not do justice to that introduction.
Oh, thank you. Actually, you did a very well done job. And thank you for inviting me again. My name is Victor Adewusi, and I thank my sister Rosemary Shaw, and I thank my friend, Mr. Tokbaya Mushana, also my brother, for coming up on this show for us to discuss this issue. I happen for now to be the president of Nigerian community of Rhode Island, and sometime in October there's going to be an election, and
Wow.
hopefully I'll become the ex-president. of the Nigerian community.
Stop running out.
So thank you once again for having me on this program. It's always a pleasure to come here and discuss issues about Africa, Africans, and how we can develop ourselves. Nobody can say it better than us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Baglo, short introduction, please.
All right, thank you so much. First of all, I need to compliment you and my sister Rosemary for this forum. I think it's very important that we as Africans in the diaspora have an opportunity to always exchange views and ideas on how to improve our respective countries in Africa. So your effort here is well noted. I would like to compliment you again. I'm happy to be here so that we can exchange ideas as we work towards the socio-economic emancipation of our people. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Baglo. Rosemary, fire your salvo.
I would like for Mr. Victor Adeosi to please talk to us about the Nigerian community of Rhode Island, what you do, and because our forum today is basically going to be talking about investment in Africa and all of this good stuff and how to improve ourselves. What do you do at the Nigerian community of Rhode Island, and how do you give back, and what is your take on this forum?
Thank you once again. The Nigerian community of Rhode Island basically represent the interest of all Nigerians in Rhode Island. We provide consular services. Our people who are having immigration problems, we support them, and whatever it is that they need, socially and any other form, we're always there to help out. And the program we're having today is very important because basically we're talking about how do we reverse brain drain to brain gain.
Right.
And I'm very, very much interested in discussing it.
That's very good.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deosi. Mr. Baglo, the Liberian society has been enmeshed in a whole lot of controversy, just like the Ghanaian people here, the Ghanaian society here. And this is just a microscope of what is going on back home. How can we be different? We are in a civilized society. Why are we still bringing the excesses and the baggages of years of being backwardness? Or why are we bringing the baggage here again? Why can't we just agree on some kind of leadership and just do things the way they do it here?
Well, thank you so much. You know very well that the Liberian community is one of the largest in terms of the African population within the New England area. Our number is between 15,000 plus in terms of the Liberian presence here. And when you go into various schools here, most of the African American kids, most of them are Liberians. The Liberian Community Association has been very, very active in the past, especially in the 90s. But what is happening recently, again, is the flow over of the Civil War. The flow over of the Civil War, and that is those of us in the diaspora have those hangover from the Civil War. But eventually, there's an election going to take place this year, and hopefully we'll be able to iron out some of the differences. As a matter of fact, I'm one of the three-man committee responsible to bring the parties together so that at least they can reconcile their differences. We should be meeting with Mr. Nathan Bia, who was duly elected, and Mrs. Nelly Savage, who tried to remove Mr. Nathan Bia by a little coup d'etat. So we have parallel leadership. It's very unfortunate, but we try to put both forces together so that we can reconcile. Fortunately for me, both parties called me and said, look, as a big brother, come and see if you can solve the problem. And I was approached and I agreed to it. Although my wife advised me not to get involved, but I told her, we have an obligation to make sure that we solve the differences that exist. Because it do have an impact on our children. For example, if we are fragmented and we are not cohesive, then indeed the programs that are being allocated for our community, we won't be able to utilize them. Because, for example, the elderly program that we have used to cater services to the elderly. We also have an after-school tutorial program which I was the executive director of for 4 years. And all the programs have come to an end because of the conflict that exists in the organization. So hopefully if we solve our differences, we'll be able to forge forward to bring about improvement in our community. So eventually the Liberian community will reawaken again. As a matter of fact, when we were doing our thing, the Nigerians were also fighting among themselves. I mean, he'd been here for some time, you know what it is. But it's always the African problem. We have all got a crap mentality. If you are going up, then we'll bring you down. And we go up, then we bring us down. So hopefully, living here in the United States will give us the opportunity so that we can reconcile our differences and run up meaningful services to members of our community.
That has always been a major issue. It just seems like, you know, everybody wants to be a leader. Nobody wants to follow. So what do you think that we can do to improve on that, to be able to at least pay attention and listen as opposed to everybody talking at the same time? Because we can't get anything resolved like that.
Okay, let me just interject a little bit. I think what we Africans realize is that leadership is about running services to your people.
Right.
Leadership has a physical responsibility. It also has a spiritual responsibility. That is through your personal sacrifices that you provide leadership to your people. But when the individual ego get in the way, then it becomes a problem. Because then you sidetrack the goals and objectives of the organization and the ego dominates the scene. It should not be that way. We get involved in the organization so that we can be of service. And this is why I'm always saying, what is the use of having power when your people do not benefit from that power? It's anyway community. We criticize leaders in Africa, but then in the diaspora we are so fragmented. You know, it's very unfortunate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bagbo. Mr. Adewusi, the Nigerian leadership is not, we cannot exonerate Nigerians from what is happening to Liberians, Ghanaians, and stuff like that. I know you've been there for almost a year now. And,
2 years.
Almost 2 years now?
Wow, time flies.
Wow, time flies. Anyway, and if you have to talk now, I'm not expecting you to talk because we do not want to whip the dead horse. But why is it that if some people cannot become the president, the chairman, the secretary, the next thing is to pull whoever is there down? Why are we still facing that cankerworm of a problem in 2012?
Actually, I think my friend has put it. There's no better way to put it than what he said. People do not understand what leadership is all about. And one thing I've come to realize is that every African, we all have PhD. And the PhD we have is pull him down syndrome. We have that. But everybody aspires to the leadership position. Everybody wants to be the leader without doing what it is that is required of a leader. You are the president. There is a responsibility attached to that position. But thank God that the Nigerian community, we had our own problems, but the sea has calmed down now. Everybody has come to realize that this is all about service, and service is the key. But the problem is that there are people who think when you are in that position, you can use that position to amaze some kind of wealth, to benefit
Maybe in
yourself.
Nigeria,
Now here, it's all about service. It's all about giving back, because if there is one thing America actually taught me, is giving back to the community, because we have benefited so much in the community we live in here, and it's required of us, it's expected of us that you give back. I will give you an example. Say in Chicago, there is a flood there. You will see an average American will use his or her money to buy a ticket, fly to Chicago, just to go carry a sandbox to help out. The way we develop, we're not training that way. But the community and the environment we live in now, that we find ourselves, is all about community service. And like I said, thank God in the Nigerian community, it's calmed down now. And one of the things I want to do is that I'm making a revelation actually here on this program. this is the only time I intend to serve as the president of the Nigerian community. My intention is that come October, I'm eligible to stand for another re-election, but I do not intend to do that because I want people to know that it's not about perpetuating yourself in office. Do it, let somebody come, support that person, we move forward. That's the way I believe. And like what my friend said, it's all about service to your community.
Wow. But it's about being a servant leader.
The chief
But
servant.
I think a lot of times we lose that focus, and people tend to make it look like, oh, I'm the boss, so you all are below me. But it's actually about serving your people and giving back to the people who are there to come into that.
That is, I cannot agree with you more. We in our continent, we do not realize that to whom much is given,
Much is also very
much is expected.
Right.
We always want to be like, oh, I'm the president of this, I'm the president of that. Are you really doing what you're expected to do as the president?
Not just
That
sitting
is
in
why
the
you always
office.
see me at a loggerhead with all these so-called African presidents, African leaders, African governors and ministers. Are they really doing what they are supposed to be doing? If they are doing that, every one of them and trying to go back now. I cannot see an American-born Nigerian little boy or girl that really want to go back because everything he or she enjoys there is not available right there.
Yeah, the basic essentials.
You want to drink milk, you just open up your fridge now,
Big deal back home.
take milk and drink. There's no light back home. Where would you save a dairy milk? You want to drink? Some people in the continent drink soda once in a month or once when there's a festival. Soda that your kids will just go into the fridge and say, oh, daddy, there's no soda here. Can you stop by at the grocery and bring? Things like that are becoming a luxury. So how do we expect our children here to follow us back home even if we want to go back home? Which home are we going back to?
Tommy, I don't know what I can jump in here.
Of course,
Okay, I think this is why those of us in the diaspora, we have an obligation to demonstrate a positive leadership so that when our children are in the position to assume leadership back home, they can at least demonstrate good leadership. And this is why those of us in the diaspora have an obligation to make sure that we must demonstrate the desire to give back to our community so that when our children become leaders tomorrow in Africa, they will have that sense of orientation from the diaspora. They say, look, although I'm president of Nigeria or president of Liberia, I'm here to be of service, not to enrich myself and my family. Because when you do that, you want to enrich you and your family. You create a line of demarcation between you and those that you govern. And then we find ourselves in a vicious circle. One group get there, we make noise, they leave. Another group get there. You have a democracy, but the democracy is so superficial because it's not structured in terms of service. People don't see meaningful things happening around. So those of the diaspora, when we are ahead of these organizations, we want to make sure that we give back to our community so that our children can see the examples from our efforts.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baglo. Mr. Adewusi, do you want to jump in? Want to chip anything in?
Yeah, but I think it's been said, and if you look at the current leaders in Africa nowadays, you go to Cameroon,
Paul Biya,
Paul Biya, ever since he took over from Ahijo, he has been there. You go
almost
to
40 years.
You go to Uganda, Museveni,
He's still there.
ever since he took over from Idi Amin, he has been there. You go to Zimbabwe, ever since Mugabe took over from Ian Smith, he's been there. Go to all over Africa, you see people who perpetuate themselves in office. And the funny part of it is that when they even perpetuate themselves in office, they are not bringing home the dividends of democracy to the people. So it's all about me. And like what my good friend said, it's a duty on the part of those of us in the diaspora to become an example of what leadership is all about. Leadership basically is about serving. That is what it is all about. It's about serving. And until we realize that back home in Africa, like you said, I don't know, I have 5 kids. I am not too sure if they want to go home. My goal, my prayer of myself and my wife is for that one day we want to take them back to Africa. But is there that conducive environment for them to be able to do what they need to do or what they want to do? It's not there. But one thing we shouldn't do is we do not give up. We got to keep on trying, because if you look back, America did not get to where it is today just like that. It took process, and that process is what we need to apply and what we need to show to our leaders back home, that it is doable. We can do it. America is not a magic, and Africa, to do it in Africa should not be a magic. It's a process, and I believe we will get there. And a program like this bring about exposure, bring about things to people, because your exposure is limited by what you see. Now, and I hope African Heritage will get this kind of a program to viewers in Africa. Let them see. I've given an example of myself. I'm going to serve one time, I'm eligible to serve another second time. I am now willing to go for that. I want somebody to come, and whoever becomes the next president of the Indian community of Roland, I will give that person my 110%. Like my predecessor in office, Camino Lipeli, he was there before I came. I became the president. He's giving me the full support. That's the way it should be. It's not about me, it's about us.
Well, I cannot believe that we are still having this teaching problem now. Although I do not agree with the notion that America was not built in a day. It is true. But those people have demonstrated a commitment of service.
Right.
They sacrifice. If we see such a determination of sacrifice in our people, believe me, people here will go back home and do the same thing.
There's nothing called sacrifice in Africa. I remember when I was in college.
That is where I'm going.
My father used to tell me, he said, I send you to college, not to go carry placards. If there is any riot in the campus, come back home. But being who I am, I'm like, no, I want to be in front of that placard carrying student.
Because you want to make a difference.
Exactly. We have to sacrifice. Look at Mandela. Mandela sacrificed most of his lifetime in jail. He came out, he could still have been the president of South Africa now.
For life. Nobody would have challenged him.
He served one time.
For what he has
And
done.
he
He left.
But that, you see, that's a brilliant mind.
Let me come. Although he has a brilliant mind, but I think also his own spirituality. You see, when a man is rooted in the spirit, his perception on life is not materialistic.
Yes.
You see, most of the leaders we have, they're not spiritual. They aren't spiritually rooted in what they do. So all their greatness is manifested by material possession. They feel comfortable when they get millions of dollars in sweatbanks, and but a spiritual minded individual will see how that position is used to benefit and improve the conditions of these people. And this is why when you go back to the colonial legacy of Africa, again, Nigeria, Ghana, other places, our colonial legacy, although they give up political power, but in terms of economic efficiency, how do we run up an efficient service to our people? That was absent. I remember when they interested in translation, moving from one or from the colonial master to the African to be president for their country, but the management of the economy was not taken into consideration.
So are you blaming the colonial masters
No,
now?
I think giving colonial power to African leaders were good, but it lacked that economic ingredient that is needed to conduct an efficient management of your economy activities.
50 years after independence?
What I'm saying, no, I'm not going to blame colonial leaders, but I think there was an absence because they should both up. Power and economy go hand in hand.
Well,
You cannot separate the two.
Mr. Baglo,
Yes.
you are right to some extent. And we need to stop blaming the colonial master.
Thank you. Yep.
They have their own blame. They have their own blame. They took the direct ownership of our land by force, hereby setting us back. We would have been able to maybe make our own mistake and probably along the line correct ourselves. But we cannot keep on whipping the dead off. These people have been gone for 50 years. In some cases, more than 50 years.
Yeah.
So you want to tell me that a 50-year-old man will not be able to know his left hand from his right hand? That means the man is sick. If you are 50 years and you cannot determine your own life, something is wrong. Okay. It's what I tell the black Africans here or African American here. If you're still blaming segregation and all this for your backwardness, man, you need to
wake up.
Wake up and smell the coffee.
Right.
You cannot keep on doing that because people of your age, people of my age are ruling the country now. Stresser was 29 when he became the head of state of his country. Samuel Doe was young when he became the head of this country. Gowon was young when he became the Nigerian head of state, the most populous country in Africa. So we've seen that. But what have they been able to do? How have they been able to move us up? How have they been able to move us up is what we need to discuss in the next segment. Don't you go nowhere. We'll be right back.